truly, truly the real you loves you because the real you is love. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who who's watching this teaching session from A Course in Miracle workbook lesson. For today is lesson 132. And we seem to be moving on up and moving on through these lessons and just becoming more and more aware of the absolute magnificent creation that we are, only because our creator is magnificent. Our creator is eternal and endless and loving and peaceful and kind and complete and whole and perfect. And that which our creator creates, that which God creates, that which love creates, is only likened to himself. Therefore, you and I are just like our elder brother said, we are one creation with our Father. And as we look in today's lesson, it will go deep into that idea, really deep into that idea, to the point where it says there's not a place where the Father ends and his creation begins, because it's all the same. I mean, it is absolutely, uh, ultimately, a reality when it comes to the truth. And the truth is true always, will always be true, has always been true. And we who have made this world from an idea that is unlike our Father, we are rediscovering the era that we made. We are discovering that in reality, nothing has changed. We remain as our Father created us, and the Father remained as he always is. And so you might say, well, golly, look at all of this history. Look at all of the evidence of a world of separation, of a world of birth and death, of a world of coming and going. You saying that this is not reality? Well, it's not that I'm saying that. It's not that I'm saying that. It's that reality says it, that it's not real. Remember, in the preface, the course says at the very beginning that that which is real cannot be threatened. So, what is that which is real? We've been told that we're part of that which is real. And then it goes on to say that which is not real does not exist. It doesn't exist. Even though there's an experience to be had, the experience is only a temporary experience. It doesn't change reality. It doesn't change reality. When you take pure water, let me get some pure water. Hang on. I thought I used that example because I wanted some water. But when you take just pure water in its purest sense, in its natural state, I mean, there's no color. It's just clear. I mean, you can see right through it. It's clear. And even though we take and maybe mix some, I don't know, we put something with some color in it. Say we put some blue coloring in it or some red coloring or whatever. Though it appears that the water has been changed into something else, in reality, it hasn't. The water still remains as it was created. It just give the appearance because something was added to it. But that which adds was added to it does not change its nature. Just like when you go, if you go into a movie theater, you see this huge screen, and that screen is always there. It was there before you got there, is there during the time that you're there, and it's going to be there after. But what changes on the screen is what gets projected on it. But that which gets projected onto the screen doesn't change the nature of the screen. So that's a good analogy. Therefore, our reality is like the screen, the huge screen in a movie. It is permanent, it doesn't change. What is impermanent is what's projected upon it. And so the world that we see, the world that we appear to be experiencing, is just a projection upon the screen of our consciousness or our awareness. It's not coming at us, it's coming from us through our ideas, through our belief system, and we project it outward. And the world thus is made out of our projections. And our projections make perceptions. It makes out the way we perceive. Because if there's an idea that we have, then the projection itself will find a way to make it appear as in the line to what we believe. That's the power of creation, or the power to miscreate that we use, um, that we're able to make out of our reality. And I know that sounds a little weird, but it's not. It is the way that we are actually experiencing life here, thinking that life is what coming at us, thinking that form and time is what coming at us. And all the time, it is just a projection out of our own minds. We're projecting the experience that we're having based on our thought system. That's just the way it is. In other words, we have this creative mechanism within us. But when that which we project, or that which we make, which is not in alignment with reality, then what we project is a false perception. You remember over here when we talked about what is the world is a false perception. It's just a false perception. And the false perception is not something that is there that we come and experience, but it's something that we make ourselves through our own belief system. And if our belief system is based on separation, then what project out, what we perceive through our projections will be based on an idea of separation, and not based on the thoughts of God or the thoughts of reality. That's why the world that we project is always changing, is always changing. The form is always changing. The objects in this world are always coming and going, even bodies. There are millions of bodies that are leaving the projective world each day, just like there's millions of bodies that will enter into the projection of this world each day. We call them babies. And so all this coming and going, all of this activity and events that appear in time and space is not reality. Because if it was, it wouldn't change. That which is real does that which is real, what cannot be altered or it cannot be changed. So the world we see is not the world that there is. The world we see is not the world that is real. It's an illusion. It is a false representation. Not a bad word or a bad thing. It's just what it is. But when we get so enamored by it and caught up in it and the content of the experience, we lose our identity. We lose uh, the awareness of who we are. And we get so caught up in the game that we think that what we create this other image of ourselves. We create these roles that we play and lose the sight of our true nature. And so we play out these roles and allow others to play roles that we assign to them. And therein lies the what? Therein lies all of the sadness and the madness in the world that we see. And that's therein we see loveliness also. And so, anyway, today's lesson is lesson number 132. And we're going to jump right in to lesson 132, which says, and remember, we've been on the subject of the world for the last three lessons. Remember what it says that it says in lesson 128, it says, the world I see holds nothing that I want. And remember, when we use the term world, we're talking about what? A false representation, or as the Course says, a false perception. And then lesson 129, it says, beyond this world or beyond this false perception, there is a world that I really want beyond the false one. And it says, it is impossible to see two of them. It's impossible to see two worlds. I mean, basically, what here it is referring to is that, we're either seeing reality or we're seeing unreality. We're either seeing reality or we're seeing unreality. We're not straddling the fence, as they say. We either see ourselves as love or we don't. We either see ourselves as God or we don't. We either see ourselves as eternal or we don't. We either see ourselves as uh, timeless and formless or we don't. You're not seeing both. And so it says it's impossible to see two. And in reality, there's only one choice. And then we went on to say that no one can fail to seek to reach the truth of the world, the real world, or heaven, or, reality. No one can fail to fail who seeks after a, a, the truth about the world and the truth about themselves. It but takes a little willingness. And that was lesson 131. And so today we turn, and the idea for today is that I loose. Notice now, I loose. That means that if I'm the one that loose, that means that I'm the one that has a hold on it. But it says, I loose the world from what I thought it was. In other words, we made the world to be what it is through our thoughts. And our thoughts created our perceptions. And if our thoughts and our ideas and our perceptions were based not on truth, not on oneness, not on reality, then that means that what we made the world that we are experiencing, not the God of creation. The God of creation created one thing, and that was you and me. He extended itself. Reality extended itself. God extended itself and called that extension creation. And therein lies our therein lies our sharing of this one self or this one being. God didn't create or make something else, something different from what he is. But what God did was what God would just extended what he is, because there's only one. And if there's only one, there can be only extension. There's no subject and object in reality. There's only what? There's only the one. There's only isness, I guess you might say. There's only oneness. But we have been trained and highly trained in a subject object duality perception that we have called reality. And so it is part of the what is part of the ego plans to cover up or to eclipse the truth to keep us what in a place of suffering. But today, what we're going to what lose the world. We're going to lose this tiny man idea. We're going to lose the world from what and from all that we thought that it was, or all that we made, because it was made out of our thoughts. And so, what keeps the world in chains? If we're going to lose it, what keeps it in chains? In chains, but our beliefs. So, what keeps the world in this false perception of reality is our belief in it, that it is real. That's what keeps it in chains. That's what keeps it uh, to appear to have an existence. It says, and what can save the world except ourself, our true self? What can save it but an acknowledgement of our reality? When we don't acknowledge our reality as one with God, then what we acknowledge is something else. And that something else that we would acknowledge is a world that it's a world that we what perceive that replaces the true self that we are. Where there is false perception, it's there because what? We have denied true perception. Where there's unreality appearing to be real, it's only there because we've denied reality through our belief. So it says we keep the world in chains, but by our beliefs. And what can save the world except our reality? Belief is powerful indeed. And so it is. Belief, I mean, we believe a lot of things that are not true, but our belief in them hold them as the truth to us. It's the truth as we see it. And so we go about establishing a truth that has no foundation other than our belief. So therefore, we are making that which is um, our imagining, our idea into something that is nothing. And so the thoughts that we hold are mighty indeed, powerful. It says, and illusions are as strong in their effect, in their effects, as is the truth. So the truth is true always, and it's never threatened. Reality is never threatened. And it just is, and it merely is. It never changes. However, with the separated mind, we can engage what we call belief in something that is not real, something that is not eternal. We can make a whole world just out of the power of belief. But that world is only what a transitory world because it's not real. We cannot make anything eternal. Only God in love can create that which is eternal. And it's already been done. And it's you and me. And it's our awareness, our consciousness of this fact. But anything outside of that we try to hold up as reality from an idea based on separation, it is what we call an illusion. Okay, it's a false perception. And so it says, belief is powerful indeed. The thought we hold are mighty, and illusions are as strong in their effect as the truth. It says, a madman thinks the world he sees is real. A madman thinks the world that he sees is real. It says, and does not doubt it. There are 8 billion people on this planet right now. That's probably over 8 billion people that believe that this planet is real. This world is real. This universe is real. When I say it's real, that means what? mean that it is what eternal, that it is changeless, that it is that it's a, even though it has its change nature, but even in its changed nature, that is a reality, and it's not. This is where the problem lies. The tiny mad idea to believe that eternity, or believe that God, or believe that reality can create something unlike itself. And so we have to take responsibility for the world that we see, because it's the world that we made. It is not God's world. It is our world. We made it, and it's not real. And so it says, a madman thinks the world it sees is real and does not doubt it, nor can he be swayed by questioning his thoughts' effects. Oh, it's hard to convince someone that they made the world, or that they didn't make the world. It says, it is but when their source is raised to question. Where did they get their idea from? When you raise that question about the source and not about the idea, it says that it says when you raise that to question, it says that the hope of freedom comes to him at last. So the focus has to be on the source of the idea. What is the source of reality? What is the source of your belief? What is the source of what you believe? So that means we have to go question what everything that we believe and why we believe it. And if what we're believing, is it adding to or subtracting from our life? Is it adding awareness? Is it adding uh, expanded consciousness? Is it bringing understanding? Is it lasting? Is it changeless? Is it certainty? Or is it part of what? Is it part of the illusion that bring on all kinds of chaos, all kinds of what? All kinds of suffering into the world? Does it promote fear and separation and division? What is it doing? What is our belief system doing? And so we have to question the source of where we believe. It says, yet it is salvation. It says, yet is salvation easily achieved. For anyone is free to change his mind, and all his thoughts change with it. So it says here, a simple change of our mind. When we would raise the question about the source of what we believe, it opens up a portal for us to realize that the world we see is based on the way we're thinking, and that a slight shift in where we're thinking, or a change of the source from which our thought system is built, will change everything. And so a change of mind is all that is required for one to what? Bring about an awareness of the truth, to bring truth into uh, a simple acceptance, so that one can what now engage in the truth of who they are. And so it says, now the source of thought has shifted just by changing our mind. The course says that enlightenment is but a what? Change of mind, or it's but a recognition that what we thought before was not true, was not real. And now we realizing that there's a reality here that we were unaware of, but now we become aware of it. And so it says, um, now the source of thought has shifted. For to change your mind means you have changed the source of all ideas you think, or ever thought, or yet will think. That's what happens when one becomes open, when one begin to question the source of their thought system. It says you free the past from what you thought before. You free the future from an ancient thought of seeking what you do not want to find. And so the present now remains the only time because in reality, there is no past and there is no future. They're only the presence. And so when you realize this, that in reality, there's only the present moment. And so when you realize this, why would one hold on to past events or activities, past hurts or pain, when that doesn't even exist anymore? It didn't even exist when it was happening in the sense that it was part of this idea of separation. And so when we realize that and we let go of that idea, and when we realize that we let go of that ancient thought to not carry it into our future, that that it has no place in the future or in the past, no existence, that only the present is real, then we're free in this very moment right now just to embrace the truth. Nothing else matters. None of our experience matters. None of the activities in our life matters. None of the timeline in the past matters. Only thing that matters is now, because that's the only thing that there is in reality. It's now. It says, so the present now remains the only time. Here is the present. It says, here in the present is the world set free. Why? Because we realized that the world we thought it was the world we made based on a thought system of separation. And so we projected the figures in the world. We identify even ourselves as a body identification. And so, for as we let the past be lifted and release the future from our ancient fears, we find escape and give it to the world. It says that we have enslaved the world with all our fears, all our doubts, all our miseries, all our pains, and all our tears, and all our sorrows press on it and keep the world a prisoner to our beliefs. So all the pain, all the misery, all our experiences that brought about what we did not want, we press that upon the world. We blame that on the world. Where in reality, all of this was in a projection of our own thoughts. And it says death strikes it everywhere because we hold the bitter thought of death within our own minds. So what he's saying here is that every event, every experience, every relationship, all that has happened, all of our experience that has taken place on this timeline of a body birth up until this moment, it's all have played out from our own minds. We have projected all of this from our own mind based on the idea of separation. And so none of it is real. None of it is eternal. It's just what we have experienced based on a false perception. But now what? Because we're awakening to what reality. And when we awake to reality, all that what has gone before, it disappears or it has no effect. Because we realize what it was only temporary experience. And so the world is nothing in itself. No, it's a projection of our own minds. It's a projection of humanity's mind that appears like it's separate from the one mind of God, because what we are making is not based on the love that we are. It's not based on the nature in which we were created. It says the world is nothing in itself. It says our mind must give it what meaning, and what we hold upon it are our wishes acted out as we can look on them and think them real. So when we see the world in the way that it's happening, when we see all the death and the pain and the destruction, when we see all the inequality and all that, we see it. It's acted out. We see the actors, we see the players, we even see our role in it. All of this is a projection from an idea of separation. And it's coming from us. It's not coming to us. It is coming from our own mind. And when you wake up and realize this, the world changes when you change the way you perceive it, when you change the way you think from a different, when you change the source from which you think. And so, what we're talking about today is that we lose the world from all we thought it was based on our thoughts of separation. We take responsibility for the content in the world. We realize that your whole life is a result of your own thinking. That everything that you experience, that you have experienced in your life, is but a projection of your own ideas. And in many cases, it is ideas of things that you do not want based on fear and separation and based on, you know, a false perception of yourself. We done it to ourselves. It's always been that way. But because we done it to ourselves, we realize that what, like the prodigal son, like the prodigal son, he came to himself. So when we come to ourselves and realize that we are the one that is what orchestrating this, we can change what the source of our thinking. We can change our vision. We can see into our very own nature of love and joy and happiness, and begin to what? Begin to what? Begin to uh, express or extend that which we are. And be, no longer do we choose to be the subjects of the ego's thought system of hatred and bitterness, the ego's thought system of sickness and disease and lack, and prejudice, and all of the other things that we allowed ourselves to participate in. And so the world is nothing. And what we hold upon it is our wishes, and we think them real. Perhaps we think we do not make, perhaps we think that we did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for our thoughts to give it meaning. Yet the truth, we found exactly what we looked for when we came. We all, as a collective, one Son of God, one creation of God, we collectively chose to create this world of duality as, like it said, as a place of hiding, or as an attack on reality, or as an attack on God, from that little tiny mad ideal of separation. Oh, such a small, impossible thought could create such a gigantic and enormous world as we see and have we experienced. It says there is no world. I told you we're going a little deep today. So in reality, there is no world separate and apart or in and of itself. There's only a what? There's only our projection. It says there is no world apart from what we wish. Everything that has happened in this world is said it came from the mind of humanity. Not necessarily from the mind of God, but from the mind of humanity. Because this world is built on separation, and God can't build or create anything unlike himself or itself. And so it says, change but our mind on what we want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. Your world will change as you change your mind. There's a book written by I can't think of the author, and he says, "Change your mind, change your world," and that's true because the world you've experienced, the relationships you've experienced, the sensations you've experienced, the activities and events that you have experienced, everything that you have experienced in this lifetime is a result of your thinking. It came from you. It says, change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world can change accordingly. You got to get this. We have to understand this. You are experiencing exactly what you have what thought up in your mind right now. Everything that you're experiencing, every relationship, every single activity, every single person that you've met, you dreamed it up. It says, and these ideas don't leave their source. What's the source of these ideas? They come from a separated mind. This is ideas leave not their source. This is a universal truth. This is a reality. Ideas leave not their source. So we're gonna apply this to reality, because in reality, ideas leave not their source. So in reality, the source of ideas or the thoughts of reality or the thoughts of God leave not God. And so when God creates, he creates through his thoughts, and his thoughts don't leave him. So that means that what? That God is a part of everything that he creates. And God created you and me. And so we are a God idea. You are a God idea. And God's ideas leave not their source, and their source is God. So that means that you are impregnable. That means that you're inseparable. You can never and have never and will never be separate and apart from the reality of God or the reality of your oneness with the Creator. You are one with life. You are one with life. That's your reality, not the temporal body identification, not the temporal self, not the humanity self, that which comes and goes. That's not who you are. That's not a God idea. That's not a God idea. God is timeless and formless. So where did time and where did form come from? It came from us. We wanted to have the experience of separation. And so this is what it looks like. And so we built the whole world on that idea. And we see what it produces. And we don't like it. And so now we're getting understanding of how it all was brought about. Now we're getting understanding of how to wake up within it. Now we're getting the understanding to how to change the source of our seeing, how to what now embrace Christ's vision, how now to get understanding, how to what comprehend what reality is. And so the central thing, so this central thing, ideas leave not their source. Really got to understand this. Ideas leave not their source. When you get an idea, and that idea become a manifestation, the idea never leaves you, even though there's a manifestation. The idea is what still is what is a part of the what is a part of the originator or the source of the idea. And so when we get an idea about separation, it leaves not what it leaves not the source. So what is the source? The tiny mad idea. And so the tiny mad idea of separation and what it creates are one. But it what now we're learning that what it is not real. It's a false representation. And so if it's a false representation, it really doesn't exist and it can't threaten reality. So there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's no need to be afraid of death if death doesn't exist. There's no need to be afraid of sickness and disease. There's nothing to be uh, afraid of what any of the horrors that we might see that we've made. There's no need to be what afraid of any of that because what we've made it up. We dreamed it up. And when we wake up from the dream, you realize what it was only a dream. So when we are able to what see uh, through reality's eyes, then we just laugh at what all that we've made or made a muck of. We can laugh at it because what it didn't change anything. You are still your divine self. You are still your innocent self. You're still your whole and complete and perfect self. And you were just what sitting back with a bag of popcorn and some M&Ms and watching this movie called You and laughing because you realize what at one point you was crying. At one point you was in suffering because you thought it was real. But when you realized it wasn't real, what you started to laugh at the idea. And so this central theme is often stated in the Course in Miracles. What central theme? That ideas leave not their source and must be borne in mind if we would understand the lesson for today, that we loose the world from all we thought it was. We can do that because we thought it was real. Now we realize it's not real. So we loose it from that. We let it go. We release it into the nothing that it is. It said, it is not pride, which tells you that you made the world that you see and that it changes as you change your mind. That's not a prideful statement. Yeah, because that's the truth. We made it. It says, but it is pride that argues that you have come into a world quite separate from yourself, impervious to what you think, and quite apart from what you chance to think it is. And then here it makes a bold statement. From based on everything that we're said, here in the lesson it says, well, there is no world. In reality, there is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach us, that there is no world. Not everyone is ready to accept this. And each one of us must go as far as we can, let ourselves be led along the road of this truth. This is a truth that all of us have to come to grips with, that in reality, there is no world. There is no separation. There is no ego. There is no separate self. There is no Oliver. There's only God, and there's nothing else. That is the ultimate truth that is true always. That is the ultimate goal that brings us into this place of right perception that we are seeking. When we realize the truth that sets us free, that there is no world, there is nothing outside of us. There's only God, and all that there is inside God, and we are part of God. And so whatever there is appears to be that appears to be um, whatever there is that appears to be happening outside of us, it's only an illusion. All of the things that we do, all of the relationships, everything that we engage in time and space, it's only temporary. It's not a reality. And I'm sad to report that, if that makes you sad. That's why Jesus said, "What love not the world." Why? Because the world passing away. It's only a temporary projection. He said, "Don't love it because if it pass away, you're going to be depressed." And so, not everyone is ready to accept this. I know this is a very high idea, but it's the truth. And everybody's not ready to accept it. It says, he will return and go still further, or perhaps step back a while and then return again to embrace this idea. But healing is the gift to those who are prepared to learn that there is no world and can accept that lesson now. Their readiness will bring the lesson to them in some form which they can understand and recognize. Some will see it suddenly on point of death. Some of us won't embrace this until what? At the point of death, at the point of the body no longer appears to be what appears to be under the what influence of what of the divine of the spirit, the point of death, or the death or the sensation of the body, because in reality there is no death. But some of us will not even see the falsity of the world until at the point of death, is what it's saying here. And then it says, um, others find it in experience that is not of this world. So through an experience, you can come to realize that this deal ain't real, dude. And then it says, and then it says others find it in experience that is not of this world, which shows them that the world does not exist because what they behold must be true. And yet it clearly contradicts the world. And then it says some of us will find it in this course, in this journey that we're on, that the world is not real. And there's other paths that you can uh, study and seek the truth through and discover the same thing. Because all path leads what to one place. All path leads to home. But it says, and some will find it in this course and in the exercises that we do today. So today's idea is true because the world does not exist. And if it is indeed your own imaginings, the world that we think is real is our own imaginings, then we can loose it from all things we ever thought it was by merely changing all the thoughts that gave it these appearances that came from us. It says, the sick are healed as we let go all thoughts of sickness because we made it up. It says, and the dead arise when we let thoughts of life replace all thoughts we ever held of death because we made it up. It says, a lesson earlier repeated once more. It said, an earlier lesson that we studied in this course, repeated once must now be stressed again, for it contains the firm foundation for today's idea. So today's idea is based on a firm foundation. And what is that firm foundation? That we are as God created us, that we remain unchanged and unaltered by any of this. So that is the foundation, that we remain as God created us. And how did He create us? He created us like unto Himself. We are the express image of what He is, of what it is. We are the very image and likeness with the very God itself. That's the fact. And so that is the foundation for this course. That is the foundation for reality. That God can only create like unto Himself. And so that which is not like unto God, God didn't create it. That means that what it was a made up, it was an imagining, it's a fantasy, it's an illusion. And so that is the foundation for today's idea. So if that be true, that we remain as God created us, so that means that we made a world And and we have kept the world intact in chains by our belief, by our ideas. And the idea was the source of it was the tiny minded idea of separation. Now that we have identified that, we can loose the world from the chains and the imprisonment that we laid upon it. We can loose it from its very existence because it all was a what projection of our own thoughts. Are you getting this? All this happens within the realm of the mind and the realm of thoughts. And now we're able to identify the thoughts of God from the thoughts what of the world, or the thoughts of that which is not like unto God. We're able to distinguish between the real and the unreal. Why? Because once we're able to distinguish between the real and the unreal, then we easily embrace the thought system that arises out of reality. And we're able to let go of the thought system that arises out of what unreality or out of the ego. Easy let it go because that's not what we want. It won't give us what we want. And so it says, we are as God created us. There is no place where we can suffer and no time that can bring change to our eternal state. We are changeless being. We share the same being that God is. It says, how can a world of time and place exist if we remain as God created us? How can it? Only through vain imaginings. So, what is the lesson for today except another way of saying that to know our true self is the salvation of the world? I've always said it these 132 days that salvation is the knowing of ourself. When we know who we are, when we discover our true divine self, our infinite self, our God self, and embrace it and understand and comprehend our nature, that knowing has the ability to save the world. That has the ability to bring about healing to all of the world. The crazy stuff that's happening, even in our day here in 2022 in May, where just on yesterday, some vain imagining, some person is seeing the world through false perception because he thinks it's real. Would go out and shoot and kill 19 children, two adults, and his own grandmother. A 19-year-old killed 19 elementary students. Those are the things that happen not out in the world, but it's a projection of what was in his mind. And without a change of mind, these are the things that continue to happen. That's why these lessons, this course is so vital. Because when we have the knowledge of ourselves, it's impossible for that to happen. It's impossible for anyone to imagine anything like that. And so we're here dealing with the cause. The cause is what? The cause is perception. The cause is the way we think. The cause is the tiny mad idea of separation. The cause is a mind that has gone mad because of the belief. They say mental health. The whole world needs mental health. The whole world needs to what? Wake up. That's the solution to mental health. Is the awakening. And so it says here that how can a world of time and place exist if we remain as God created us? What is the lesson for today except another way of saying that to know our true self is the salvation of the world, to free the world from every kind of pain, like what happened on yesterday, is but to change our minds about ourselves. If that young man would have changed his mind about who he thought he was, none of that would happen. It says, there is no world apart from our ideas because ideas leave not their source. And we maintain the world within our minds in thought. So the world that we experience is our thoughts. And our thoughts and our world will not change until our thoughts change. Yet if we are as God created us, we cannot think apart from him, nor make what does not share his timelessness and love. If we remain as we are created. Are these inherent in the world that we see? Timelessness and love. Is it inherent in the world that we see? No. It says, does it create like him? No. Unless it does, it is not real and cannot be at all. If you are real, the world you see is false. For God's creation is unlike the world in every way. What God created is unlike this world in every way. As it was his thought by which we were created, so it is our thoughts which made the world and must see it free, that we may know the thoughts we share with God. So today we release the world as we thought it because we made it. And so we release it from all that we made and all that we thought because our source was defiled. Our source was an error, a mistake. And so today we release the mistake, we release the error. It says our real condition waits for this release to give us fatherhood, not of illusions, but as God in truth. God shares his fatherhood with us who are his creation. For he makes no distinctions in what is himself and what is still himself. There is no world because it is a thought apart from God and made to separate the Father and his creation. All this world that we made is designed to keep us separate. Not only us as a species, but us from our creator. This whole world, it what it pictures back to us that separation is real, that death is real, that sickness and inequality is real, that all the things that we do not desire is real. And to get us to faint in our minds, not knowing that it is our minds that we created this. And so what he has created is not apart from him. We are not apart from God. Why? Because ideas leave not their source. And nowhere does the Father end and the Son begins as something separate from him. So we have never been separate from God. We remain as God created us. But in this tiny mad idea of separation that crept into the mind that seemed to and appeared to separate from its source is what created all that we see, all that we have experienced. But in the midst of all of that, nothing has changed because it's only a dream. It's only an illusion. It's only a false perception, a false appearance. And so all the sin, all the bad madness, all the pain and suffering that you think and thought that you have experienced, or everything that you've thought about yourself that does not align with the reality that you remain as God created you, that you are whole and that you are timeless and formless and guiltless and sinless and without any judgment. that you're pure and whole and complete. Anything outside of that, you can release it. You made it up. And your brothers made it up. And you can release them. So we release the whole world. So we say tonight that all the world goes free. Why? Because it's only the reality of God. It's just that simple. And as we wake up to this reality and release the world, you release the world around you. You begin to see things change because you're no longer holding the belief. It's only held together by your belief. That means it's only freed by your change of mind. That's what this lesson is all about. And so it says, there is no world because it is a thought apart from God and made to separate the Father and the Son and break away a part of God Himself and thus destroy His wholeness. See? Can a world which comes from this idea be real? Can it be anywhere? Deny illusions, but accept the truth. Deny you are a shadow briefly laid upon a dying world. Release your mind, and you will look upon a world released. Today, our purpose is to free the world from all the idle thoughts we ever held about it and about our all living things we see upon it. They cannot be there. No one can no more than we can be there. For we are in the home our Father set for us, along with them. And we who are as He created us would loose the world this day from every one of our illusions. Because they are our illusions. But we must, that we may be free. So as we release the world and the world that we made and the illusions that we made and all the false images that we made, as we release them, the world goes free. And that only happens as we recognize our true identity in God, our oneness with God, and that we remain the divine, infinite self that God created, which is Himself, which we share in that one self. That's the whole crux of it. And we keep coming back to that statement, and we'll keep coming back because that is the foundation for truth. And when we build our perception on that truth, it's called true perception. We will begin to see, we will begin to create like our Father out of loveliness and out of oneness. So we're going to begin our 15-minute periods today. We'll do 2 of them in which we practice twice today by saying, I who remain as God created me would loose the world from all I thought it was. For I am real because the world is not, and I will know my own reality. You can only know your own reality by releasing unreality. You can only know that you are an eternal being by releasing the idea that you're an infinite, that you are a what? A finite being. You only what? Embrace your innocence as you release all guilt and all judgment. You will only see yourself as free as you release all humanity to be free by releasing all resentment and all grievances that you might be holding against yourself or against someone else. You're making it up. And your freedom lies in your release. Your release relies in their release. So who are you holding hostage? Who are you holding? Who are you imprisoning based on a past event or hurt? Let it go. Today is the day of release. We release everyone and everything of what we thought it was. We made it up. And so we merely rest today, alert but with no strain. And we let our mind in quietness be changed so that the world is freed along with us. We need not realize that healing comes to many brothers, or it says, we need not realize that healing comes to many others far across the world, as well as to the ones that are nearby us, as we send out these thoughts to bless the world. So we're no longer holding the world hostage in judgment, but we send out blessings only. We teach only love. We express only love. We are the light of the world. We are the saviors of the world through the knowledge of this truth of who we are. And so, but we will sense our own release, although we may not fully understand, as we may not fully understand as yet that we could never be released alone. So when we release ourselves, we release all humanity. We're innocent, and so is all humanity. It can't be any other way. Love is total, love is all encompassing. So throughout this day, increase the freedom sent through our idea to all the world and say, whenever we are tempted to deny the power of our simple change of mind, we say, I loose the world from all I thought it was and choose my own reality instead. Wow, what a lesson. What a lesson. And it's going to take many, many more lessons for us to fully embrace what the idea that has been brought forth today, that there is no world. There's only God, and there is nothing else. And that our life is hid in God in Christ, like it said in the scripture. Our life is hid in God in Christ. That there is only the oneness that we share. And so with that, we understand that what all that we made that was based on a separation, the play of life, I guess you might call it. We can now laugh at it. No longer taking it serious. Why? Because nothing happened. We remain as God created us. And we will always remain as God created us, as whole and complete, as innocent, as divine and eternal, as unalterable and changeless. That is who we are. And that is who we will always be. And so today, walk in your loveliness. Rest in this change that you have embraced. Rest in releasing it, not only yourself, but all humanity to this truth and to this reality. And so thank you so much for being with us. And truly the real you. We keep discovering that real you. That real you really do love you. Because the real you is love. So thank you so much. I'm going to play that going out if I can. And we'll see you on the next session, Workbook Lesson 133. Thank you so much.